Hello and welcome to my TBR shelf. Today I have decided I am going to try to tackle this. I don't have a lot of books on my physical TBR. This is all that I have, which as it turns out is 25 books. But because I have a goal of buying more books this year, and I'd like to keep my TBR shelf to only one shelf, I need to probably start getting through some of these books. So all of these are books that I am not really excited to read. Most of them have been on my shelf for a very long time, but for whatever reason, I just can't get rid of. Like, I feel like I just need to at least try them before I give them away. So the goal in this video is going to be to get 3 of these books off of this shelf. That means I'm either going to read 50 pages and then DNF. I'm going to actually read the whole thing and like it, or if I can't bring myself to read it, then I just really need to get rid of it, because why am I keeping it at this point, right? So we're gonna make this fun by using a random number generator to tell me which of these books I'm going to read next. I know that seems like it wouldn't make it fun, but for some reason for me, it just really works with my brain. So let me consult the number generator for a number. The random number generator has spoken and the number is 10. So left is 1, right is 25. We're going to find out which book I'm going to be reading. 10. The random number generator has been kind to me, and the book it has chosen is The Book of Lost Names by Kristen Harmel. This is actually a newer addition to my shelf. It's one that I actually would say that I'm fairly excited to read. It's not quite as new and shiny as some other releases, but it is a book I've been wanting to read for a long time. I've heard about it a lot. I've heard of this author a lot, but haven't yet tried her book. So I'm excited to get into this one. I am at my in-laws' house. We're on a little family trip, but I have been reading. I brought with me The Book of Lost Names, so I've been reading it while we've been here. I just started it actually. So I'm 50 pages in. 50 pages is my minimum that I read. I am a big DNFer. I will quit a book with no qualms at all. Here's my rule. If I've read 50 pages and I don't have a compelling reason to keep going, if the book has not made me excited to keep reading, then I quit. When I say I've DNF'd, really take it with a grain of salt. It might just be a totally me thing, and that doesn't mean that I don't recommend it. But all that to say, I am actually really enjoying this book, and I'm happy to say that I am not planning on quitting it. I've gotten to 50 pages and I'm excited to keep reading it, so I am going to keep going. What's funny is that I said that I had not read any Kristen Harmel, and then I realized I've read The Forest of Vanishing Stars, and I guess I didn't quite put 2 and 2 together that that was also by her. But I really liked The Forest of Vanishing Stars, so I'm excited about this one. I don't love that it's World War II. I'm really tired of World War II fiction. It's not my favorite time period for books to be set in, but we're pressing on. I will let you know how things go. Hello, I am back to talk about the Book of Names. I am now 250 pages in, and I'm really liking it. Kristen Harmel is a great writer. I definitely see the similarities between this and The Forest of Vanishing Stars. I don't think I like this as much as The Forest of Vanishing Stars, just because that one, I really liked the main character and I thought she was really interesting, and it was just like a more, I guess, unique situation. In this one, the main character is a forger for the resistance in the French occupation. It is interesting, but I am hating the mom. Oh my gosh. So what happened was, in the beginning of the book, her father got arrested and sent to a concentration camp. She and her mom were able to escape because they just so happened to be at a neighbor's apartment, and so she was able to like forge papers for them and get them out. But her mom blames her for everything that has happened to them, and she's, learned that her father was sent to Auschwitz, and so she's like, well, there's nothing we can really do to save him, but her mom blames her because they can't save him. Her mom is like mad that she's helping with the resistance because she's like, you need to put your family first, and you're turning your back on your religion because they're Jewish. And it's just, and I think also what's frustrating is that the main character is like so she's always trying to make her mom feel better, and she's always saying, I'm sorry you feel this way, and like, I'm not trying to hurt you, and she's so kind to her mom. And then other characters are like, well, you know, it's just hard for your mom because everything is so difficult. And I'm like, I mean, it is difficult, of course, like that she lost her husband and everything, but she is fine. Like, compared to so many people, she is fine because of her daughter. Like, her daughter saved her life. I'm just annoyed that the other characters can't just say, look, what your mom is saying is not okay, you know? And that doesn't mean that she can change her mom, but they're just always defending her. And I feel like the book is trying to make it seem like, well, her mom is just acting this way because she's hurting. And I'm like, okay, but it's no excuse. It's no excuse to treat your own child like that and to blame them for saving your life. Well, that doesn't make sense, but you know what I'm saying. Anyway, but that's part of the book, you know, it's part of the experience. It's not making me dislike the book. It's part of it. It's like, ugh. Anyway, I'm gonna keep reading and I'm gonna get back to you when I finish. Hi, I am back from my trip. It was such a good trip. I had so much fun, but it is really good to be back home. I'm making myself a little snack right now. I'm doing like that thing where you make cottage cheese into like a chocolate mousse thing. I don't know. I've made it before and it's pretty good. So I finished the Book of Last Names while I was on my trip and I liked it. Overall, I really liked it. It's just the kind of historical fiction that I like, where it's, you know, very much set in the time period. You learn something, it has depth to it, but it doesn't like totally drag you down into the depths of despair. Like, it's not super, super dark. And I thought the writing style was really good. Okay, I did not like the ending. That is my biggest beef with this book, is just the ending. The rest of it, really liked. Okay, I'm not gonna spoil the ending, but it was supposed to be romantic, and for me, it was not romantic, really at all. Like, I just didn't like it. So anyway, but I'm not gonna say anything else because I don't want to spoil it. That was me. I can see why people would like it. So it's just really a personal preference thing. Like, I didn't think it was like an objectively bad ending. It's just, to me, was not good. So I am going to go ahead and move on from that book. I don't keep a lot of books for myself. I keep a lot of kids' books for my kids, but for myself, I don't keep a lot of books. So I don't really see myself rereading it or anything. So I will go ahead and donate it or sell it or something like that. Okay, so now we have returned to the TBR shelf. I am a little embarrassed to say that I have added books. So while I was gone, here's the thing. I ran out of books. I didn't bring enough, which is my bad. And so I obviously had to buy books. And because I was scared that one book wasn't going to be enough, I got two. So I got Black Cake by Charmaine Wilkerson, and I got Maybe in Another Life by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I actually have read a fair bit of both of them. So this one I've gotten about 150 pages in. Also, I'm really sad that I didn't get the good cover. Why do they even make movie and TV covers? I never like them. They're always bad. Anyway, I got about 150 pages in. I liked it, but I was wanting something a little more fast paced because I was on my flight. And so I picked up this one and I read about 100 pages of this. So now both of these are in the camp of, I do want to finish them, but I got library holds in, and so I'm going to go pick those up soon. And I know that those are going to go to the top of my priority list. So I'm putting these onto the shelf in the hopes that the random number generator will pick them and I'll actually finish them, and that they won't just go the way of all these other books of, yeah, I want to read them, but I just never prioritize them. So putting these here on the end, and we will see what the random number generator chooses. All right, the generator has chosen lucky number 13. So let's figure out which one that is. It's The Clockmaker's Daughter by Kate Morton. Okay, here's the thing. I still have my bookmark in. I read 125 pages of this book. Well, technically 126 pages of this book. Not that long ago. Well, okay, it was a long time ago. And I kind of remember it. And here's the thing. I decided to put the book down because the first part of the book, all of what I had read was mostly about children being, either neglected or abused or something, just like really bad things happening to children. And that is kind of a deal breaker for me with books. I just don't tend to get over that. Sometimes it can be done in a way that I can handle, but most of the time I just allow myself to put a book down if that happens. So I did put it down, but I was like, oh, I really like Kate Morton, so probably someday I'll read it. I'm just not in the right place right now. But thinking about it now, I don't want to read it. I don't. So I think this is just going to go on my DNF list, and I'm going to officially take out the bookmark. Because, you know what, I really don't think I could even start from where I was because I don't remember it well enough. But I'm not saying I will definitely never read it, because I think someday I could be in a better place to read about stuff like that. But I'm not going to keep it. If I ever do want to give it another try, I know I can get it from the library or pick up a used copy or something like that. So goodbye, The Clockmaker's Daughter. But I do want to actually read 3 books for this vlog, so I'm going to pick another one. Okay, the generator has chosen number 6 this time. So let's see what that is. This is kind of interesting. Scream-Free Parenting. The Revolutionary Approach to Raising Your Kids by Keeping Your Cool by Hal Edward Runkle. Okay, I know this isn't going to interest all of you if you don't have kids, but I am going to try it. And I'll try not to, get too in the weeds with it in case this is not interesting to you. But I bought this a while ago when probably like a year ago, I was really trying to not yell. And I was just struggling with that a lot, trying to stop yelling at my kids. So I got this book, and I also got another book. Ended up reading the other one and not ever getting to this one. But I am interested to see if it has any good strategies. So I'll give it a try. Hello, I am here with a reading update on Scream-Free Parenting. By the way, I'm going to put timestamps in the video, so if you're not interested in this, it doesn't apply to you, whatever, you can skip ahead. But I am about 60 pages in right now, and so far, it's pretty good. I have no complaints. So far, the message seems to be that reacting in anger to your children is bad, and it is not creating desirable results. And so you need to focus on yourself instead of on them, instead of on trying to correct their behaviors. Focus on yourself and on, I guess, dealing with your feelings and not reacting. I mean, I guess I agree with it. He spent a lot of time convincing us in these first 60 pages that it's a good idea to not be really reactive to your kid and not yell at them and stuff. And I'm like, okay, I know that. I know that if I were a perfect person that never yelled, that would be ideal. I know that already. It has been a very quick read so far. I've gotten that amount read in a very short amount of time, so it's not that big of a deal. I'm liking the writing style. I often find that parenting books are not really written to my taste, and usually I find one of two things. Either it's kind of dry and textbooky, or it's over the top silly. Maybe not necessarily silly, but I get it. I get what it's like to be a parent, kind of chummy in a weird way. And so this is definitely more on the chummy side. But I do prefer that because it is just easier to read. So I try not to judge parenting books too harshly on the writing style, because I know that these people they haven't made their careers in writing usually. Usually they're like a therapist or a psychologist or something like that. That's what their education is in. I wouldn't say that this is a particularly research-based thing, and this is also something that's pretty common, I find, with parenting books. Sometimes I wish they were a little bit more research-based, but I also understand that that is hard to do. It's hard to find very many studies that have been done on parenting strategies. I am very curious about how he says we're going to do this. If the rest of the book is just saying it's really important to focus on yourself and manage your own reactions, then I won't find it to be very helpful. I'm really gonna need some very good strategies for how to manage one's reactions. But that being said, I have liked the takeaways so far. I've liked sort of the mindset. Oh, the cat is on my tripod. I think that it's made some good sense, some of the mindset shift. Like he's saying like when your child is behaving in a way that is making you feel angry or reactive, that what you need to do is like, I think, have a person or somebody that you can talk to about your feelings. You're not going to them to vent about your child. You're going to say, these are my feelings. I'm afraid I'm going to say something I regret, and that sort of thing, focusing on yourself. And I think that that is pretty valuable. So I'm interested in seeing what else out there has to say. Well, I've gotten quite a bit further into Scream-Free Parenting. I'm now on page 175. It's a short book. It's only like 215 pages or something. So I feel like I have a very good sense of it now. And I feel just pretty much neutral about it. I think it's fine as a parenting book. I think that it has some good principles in here. It doesn't give really any concrete action steps on how to implement it really. Like it has a lot of really good principles of like that you don't have a responsibility for your children, you have a responsibility to your children. So you need to behave yourself in the ways that you ought to so that, you know, you're not like taking your feelings out on your children, you're taking care of your feelings for yourself. One of the really important thing that he talks about is boundaries. I don't like the way he talks about boundaries. He says like boundaries are hard for lots of people to understand, which I thought, are they? Don't we all kind of know what boundaries are? But okay, maybe for some people they're hard to understand. And he said, so the way that I explain it is boundaries are your space and your place. Or I guess like your place is the boundaries and your space is like your area within the boundaries that you have the freedom. And I actually feel like in some ways that makes it more confusing. And he said a lot, kids need to know their place. And with the way that he was saying it was like kids need to know what the boundaries are and what they're allowed to do and what they're free to do, which I do agree, but I do not like the way that he said it. I don't like the sentence or the phrase, kids need to know their place, because I think to me and to most people that means something else. So it just felt uncomfortable to keep reading that. I don't know, that's not a big deal. Like all of these are sort of nitpicky things, I guess, but it feels like he's giving some good ideas and some good thoughts and like good things to change. But overall, it feels like the message of Scream-Free Parenting is don't scream at your kids. Just don't. Instead of screaming at them, don't scream at them. Perhaps one of the issues is the organization of the book. What I feel I want to see or expect to see in a parenting book, or really any self-help book that says like, I'm going to help you stop doing this, or I'm going to help you start doing this, is in the beginning, they kind of say like, here are the basics, here's the framework, here's the steps. And then the rest of the book is expounding on them, explaining them, giving more detail about like how to do the steps. And I just didn't feel that. I felt like every chapter, I didn't know what it was going to be about. And it felt like he was talking about like, you know, these are some of the issues that I see in families. And so this is the advice that I give to families all the time. And that's kind of what it felt like. It just felt like a book that was sort of him compiling all of his advice about parenting into one book. And again, the advice I really wanted to see is how in the moment that you want to yell, do you not? Because I never want to yell. Like I wouldn't choose to yell if I'm choosing in advance. Am I going to be a yelling parent or am I going to be a non-yelling parent? I would rather not yell always, but obviously in the moment when I am upset, sometimes I do yell. Yeah, I'm going to finish it just because I'm so close to the end. Maybe there'll be some magic revelation in the last, 40 pages, but I think that this is going to be one I just give away. Probably just kind of like a 3-star, meh, it's fine kind of book. Welcome back to the shelf. I finished Scream-Free Parenting and I don't really have anything new to say about it. I actually liked the ending the best, funny enough. I really wish some of the stuff that he had said at the end had been placed toward the beginning. I don't know, I think it could have benefited from better organization, but it was fine. It was good. It's not one I'm gonna keep. I'm gonna donate that. So now it's time to find my next read. I'm going to head to the random number generator to tell me what I'll be reading next. The random number generator heard my desires and gave me the book I was hoping it would give me, and that is number 26, so I don't have to count because I know it's the last one, and it is From the Mixed Up Files of Mrs. Basil E. Frankweller. I have never read this, but I have heard great things about it. I feel like everybody read this book when they were a kid and they loved it, and I did not. I had not heard of this when I was a kid. So I am really excited to read this. I kind of tried to get my daughter to read it with me before, and she didn't feel like it, but maybe if I read it and I love it, maybe I can get her to read it. So I am really excited to read this. I hope this could be a new favorite. Finished. I really enjoyed this book. That was really cute. I can definitely see why it won the Newbery Medal and why it's considered a classic children's literature. I think the best children's literature says a lot in a way that's very simple and not corny and doesn't feel preachy. It's one that I'll be thinking about. It's one that I thoroughly enjoyed, and it was a lot of fun. And I really enjoyed the main characters, the two kids. I thought they seem very realistic. Definitely reminded me of some kids that I know. And yeah, it's just really fun. So I'm really glad I read it. This makes me think, I just wish that I had read this as a kid and I could know what I would have thought of it as a kid. Like, I wish I could have a book club with my younger self and we could both read this and talk about it, because I think I would have loved this book when I was a kid. I definitely loved the idea of running away, even though I had a great family life. I had a great childhood. Like, there was nothing that I was trying to run away from. But kind of like Claudia, she said she wanted to run towards something amazing. And that is what I wanted as a kid too. Like, oh, I just want to have an adventure. And so I think I would have really loved reading about kids living in a museum and all that. For some reason in my mind, before I read it, because I knew what it was about generally before I read it, I didn't think about the fact that there would be night security guards at the Met. Obviously, you know, I know that there are, but I just didn't think about that. So when I was just imagining like, oh, as soon as the museum is closed, they can just like run around and do whatever they want. So it was slightly disappointing that they didn't get to do whatever they wanted, but I'm glad that it was realistic. I do hope that I can get my daughter to read this. I think she'll really like it. I actually read aloud a little bit to her of like the middle, and she seemed intrigued. Very cute, short book. I'm really glad that I finally got to this one. Look at this. I'm a real YouTuber now. I have the teeny mic. It's so cute. Well, I did it. I managed to get 4 books off my TBR shelf. So I read The Book of Lost Names by Kristen Harmel, Scream Free Parenting by Hal Edward Runkle, and The Mixed Up Files, from The Mixed Up Files of Mrs. Basil E. Frankweiler, Worst Name for the Best Book by E.L. Konigsberg, and I decided to officially DNF The Clockmaker's Daughter by Kate Morton. My favorite out of the 3 books that I read was definitely The Mixed Up Files. This was just so fun. I'm so glad that I finally read it. I've been meaning to read it for years, and it feels great to have finally finished it. I have definitely been more into reading recent releases lately, but I don't want to just never ever read backlist. Backlist titles can be just as good as new releases, if not better, because there's sometimes a very good reason why they've remained popular over the years. So if it's just great to go back and get into some really good backlist titles. I feel like I got so lucky with the numbers that I picked. There were some books that I was really hoping to not have to read, which I just have to ask myself, why am I holding on to them if I really don't want to read them? But that's a discussion for another day. So thank you for coming along with me on this journey. I don't know why that's always crooked. Thank you for coming along with me on this journey. It was a lot of fun for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!